Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we see NFTs and how they're going to be affecting the world we live in today. I'd have to say that being in the space for about a year and a half now, with a creative background and more of a technological background as well, there was a moment when we started to see this convergence, where you had both creativity and technicality from blockchain starting to be able to enable creatives to monetize on their creativity, which is kind of where the whole idea of this art renaissance comes from. I'd like to start off by saying that last year in 2020, we just saw a huge convergence, or I would say a step up in computing technology, where we saw like a double processing power speed increase for the first time. As you can see with all the GPUs and CPUs that came out, we made this huge like quantum jump in a way. And I think this is something that we can correlate and relate to where we are today with crypto and NFTs, because we're seeing this empowerment coming into the creatives. We're seeing that the technology is now there to allow them to create work and write it into the blockchain and give us them, or for the creatives to have the ability now to create work that probably wouldn't have been noticed before. And I think the reason that let's say the spotlight now is on the creatives is because of the community that has been built within the NFT space. And I think that's the real essence of what we're doing here with NFTs technology. So with the two communal aspects, the technological aspect, now we're starting to see artwork from creatives that maybe didn't have voices that were being heard in the past, or also from creatives that might have been working for large corporations that had to, maybe could only utilize 20 or 30% of their creativity. So going back to NFT Collective, which is our artist-based curated collective, one thing that we like to talk to with our creatives is say, where are you with your creative career? Is it something that you feel you'd like to start to push a little more towards NFTs? Are you profiting enough money with your NFT sales that you can live a satisfying life? Or are you also having to kind of balance that off a little bit with, say, maybe commercial work that may not be as creative or enticing for you, or something that maybe you're not connected so much, but you're just doing it to pay the bills? Because I think right now we're at this renaissance, let's say. Again, I'll keep using that word. But I think we're at that point where we can now utilize the technology and the community so that the creatives can, for the first time ever, do exactly what they want and find that audience that really connects to their work. Find those collectors that their mark might resonate with that someone may not have had the capabilities to. So for the way I see it is we're providing that platform for people to do that. So that's a little chat about kind of the creative economy that I think we're kind of entering. The attention economy back a few years ago was something that's starting to kind of dissipate now that we have NFTs here to use this technology to communicate with them. So let's move on to one other thing is going on to this route and this pathway about the creators economy. We'll talk a little bit about the Mint, and that's Mint with a Y. And this is our creative digital physical production company. And what we do here is we're trying to take the artists that we have from the NFT Collective and move them into a physical and digital space, and how we can utilize both of this digital and physical paradigm to start to extend the narrative that's associated with whatever their creative might have had. So for example, in traditional artwork, you kind of have like you have your Picasso on the wall, you interpret it the way you wish, you understand what the artist was trying to tell for you, and that's kind of where that is. But now when we're starting to move into this bridge between the digital and the physical worlds, we have that ability to say, okay, well, maybe the artist intended to start off in the physical art piece that's in the gallery. But then as you get to the gallery, there's a QR code, there's a metaverse, there's multiple things that could also lay or exist in the digital realm that could then be an extension of the narrative that the artist originally intended for. So we're allowing for this transversal storytelling to start to take a role, and it's something that can be rolling out step by step. Maybe it's something that happens just there in the space for like 5 or 10 minutes, or maybe it's something, you go home, you take a card that might be associated with the project, or there's a URL that could be out there, and you go to that website, and now you've entered into that metaverse that was an extension that was created by that artist or that initial work that you saw in the gallery. So it's endless right now, and I feel that the space is extraordinarily nascent, and we have a lot of opportunities to start exploring what we can do with the technology. And it's like a lot of us here in the room are already, I think everyone's like let's say, first comers to the scene. If you're sitting in this audience right now, I think you probably have a pretty good idea of what the potential could be, but we're only making up for a very small percentage right now. So I think the most important thing is for us to kind of keep building the community, stay together, get the ideas, share the ideas with people, and most of all, be creative with the ideas. So I think a lot of the times, right now, we're seeing a new technology that's come into existence, and we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, well, how can we shift this? How can we make what's existing in the physical world and the digital world? And one of the big ethos that we're falling into, and like a trap sometimes that we might fall into, is that do we really want to create exactly what's going on in the physical space, in the digital space? Because we don't have the same parameters. And this is kind of the ethos that we have for Aspect.AI, which is our digital metaverse architecture firm, is that we say to ourselves, why do we want to recreate, that library that exists on Fifth Avenue in the metaverse? I mean, we don't have to have a Fifth Avenue in the metaverse. We don't have to have a library with 4 walls. We don't even have to have gravity. So I think when we start to open our minds as creatives and start to rethink about the parameters that we have to work within, things can kind of change. We can start to say, well, do you have to walk down our streets to go into that library? Maybe you just enter the coordinates, you morph there, and then boom, it's in front of you. But what if there was gravity not inside the library? So I think these are some of the questions we have to ask ourselves as creatives, as designers, as architects, about what can we do and how can we reinterpret the metaverse. So yeah, I'm just trying to think anything else there. I think it's kind of just having a brief overview of everything in the sense of how can we recreate, how can we think, how can we utilize the technology, and how can we empower the creatives? Because, like I said, I think right now we're at a point where we're having the convergence where creative voices are having they're being heard quite a bit more than before. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, guys, and thank you very much for coming out here and listening to me chat a little bit.